Hello viewers, how are you? Welcome to my channel. Today we are going to discuss about aims and objectives of physical science. Let us discuss differences between aims and objectives. Aims are long-term statements of purpose that may be achieved over a long period of time, say 1 or more years. Objectives are bound in a short and specified time, say one teaching learning period or during teaching learning of one chapter. Aim is a foreseen end. Objectives are influenced by aims. Aims are broader in sense. Objective is narrower. Aims originate from philosophy, whereas objectives originate from aims. Aim is the answer to the question why a subject is taught, whereas objective is the answer to the question what will be achieved after teaching a topic. Aim may or may not be easily observable and measurable. Objectives are easily observable and measurable. Aims are ideals which may or may not be fully achieved, whereas objectives are achievable completely. Aims are generally indefinite and vague, whereas objectives are generally definite and clear. Aims of education cannot be changed from subject to subject. Objectives may be changed from subject to subject. Aims are useful for curriculum, farmers in planning and implementing the curriculum, whereas objectives are useful for teaching in planning and implementing school program. Assessment of all the aims may not be objective in nature, whereas assessment of objectives can be done objectively. Let us discuss about instructional objectives. Specific classroom teaching learning objectives known as instructional objectives. Instructional objection may be defined as a group of statements formulated by the teacher for describing what the people are expected to do or will be able to do once the process of classroom instruction is over. Instructional objectives are descriptions of people's terminal behavior expected of the ongoing classroom instruction. In comparison to general aims and objectives of teaching physical science, instructional objectives are quite narrow and specific. Instructional objectives are definite, tangible, precise, and functional. Instructional objectives are predetermined and quite practicable. Instructional objectives are the desired teaching, learning outcomes and are always stated in terms of expected people's behavior. Instructional objectives may be termed as teaching learning objectives or behavior objectives. The main purpose of the instructional objectives is to provide statement of skills, concepts of the behavior of learners. Hierarchical order of aims and objectives. General aims or goals of teaching physical science. Objectives of teaching physical science. Classroom instructional objectives. There are mainly three categories of objectives. First one is general objectives. They pertain to physical science as a subject. Specific objectives. They pertain to a particular topic in a particular time period. Third one is behavioral objective. They pertain to the expected behavioral change that occur in the student. Let us discuss the differences between educational and instructional objectives. In the case of educational objectives, philosophy is the basis for the formulation educational objectives. Whereas in the case of instructional objectives, psychology is the basis for the formulation of instructional objectives. And in the case of educational objectives are broad and general statements. Whereas in the case of instructional objectives are very specific. And in the case of educational objectives, all school subjects have common educational objectives. In the case of instructional objectives, each student has its own specific teaching or instructional objectives. In the case of educational objectives include instructional objectives. In the case of instructional objectives form a part of the whole educational objectives. And realization of educational objectives may take a long time, whereas instructional objectives can be realized within a short period in the classroom. Educational objectives cover the entire process of education, may take a long time, whereas instructional objectives cover the individual subjects separately. Please like, share, and subscribe my channel.